What is up, guys? I wanted to take a quick minute to talk to you about the best tips for being a vendor. All right, guys, if you don't know, my name's Dylan. I run wretchedclothing.com. We do clothes, mostly in the motorcycle space, and some accessories, and branching out to some other things for motorcycles. I've been a vendor, which is like a person who sells things at a space, not just like an online store, but like a pop-up shop, flea market. Like you see somebody with a tent selling things at a flea market, that's a vendor. I've been doing this for a few years. I've had the business for probably twice as long as I've been a vendor, but I've done a lot of shows. We're probably going to crest about 15 shows this year. We're actually getting ready for a show this weekend, and I thought it would be a good idea to bring up some tips and tricks of being a vendor and try to be more successful in that process. So first off, I want to say is like tip number one: know your clientele, know your space, like know where you should be. I do mostly motorcycles and hot rods. I could probably get away with like tattoo culture because some of the stuff is very tattooed inspired, but I would not do well at an arts and crafts fair. I would not do well at a smaller, more pop-up type deal, more like arts and craftsy, or somebody trying to like do something on the side, stuff like that. I would not do well there. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need to know your market. You need to know who you're selling to, who you want to sell to, who actually buys from you, and who your product is for. You need to kind of nail that down and only align yourself with shows, events, or pop-ups or anything that markets towards those people. Because you can go to an event that may have hundreds or thousands of foot traffic, but if you are not in any way, shape, or form what those people are looking for, then it doesn't matter. You've wasted your time, you've wasted a booth space, and whatever money you spent, you've wasted. Now you might make a couple sales, of course, but there probably was something else going on that would have benefited you much more. Tip number two. Tip number two is knowing your space, like where you're going. And this is hard to do because you're not always going to know until you get there. But if you can research where you're going, parking, what you're allowed to bring, what you're not allowed to bring, when you need to be there earlier than that, when you can break down where you're going to be, what's expected. Is it indoor, outdoor? Do you need power? Do you need lights? Do you need any of these things? Don't just show up and, just hope for the best. A lot of being a vendor is being prepared for anything, and making connections with the people you're working with and with the people you're vending next to. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of communication, networking. So the more prepared you can be, the better off. Now, I understand, especially for me, like I'm going to an event that I've never done before. I've never even been there. So I'm going to be as much prepared as I can and be kind of prepared for anything, and take my past experience and just kind of hope for the best and be ready to pivot at any moment. Tip number three: be professional. I know it's going to be tough at the beginning. I started out with just one table and one banner in front of that table. I didn't even have a canopy. I went to a Harley shop, did a little pop-up, and I think I sold a few things. I did like $100 in sales that day. And I was excited. I actually went out, I sold some stuff, talked to people. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. But I quickly realized some things that I needed. Being out there, it was a little chilly, luckily, but I was out there in the sun, elements, no canopy, no nothing, and my banner, it was actually 2 different colors. The print shop that did it screwed it up, so it looked like crap, but it's what I had. We quickly elevated, and we went and got a $200 nice canopy from Sam's Club. Did a couple shows with that, but then I started to run into a problem where I did a really nice show, and I actually had people from out of town looking for me that I knew from the internet, and they couldn't find me because I just had a white basic tent, and a lot of the other bigger companies there had tents with their name on them. And so he called me trying to find me. They walked right past me and didn't even know I was there. And I quickly realized, okay, I went from a $200 canopy to a $1,500 setup. Now I know that is a big jump, but at a certain point, if you want to be a vendor and you want to really do these nice events, you are going to have to look professional. And some events won't even allow people to bring a tent or any type of stuff without clear signage of who they are. And that really helps push out the people who shouldn't be there. Those are for more nicer premier events that we greatly appreciate, especially when we're spending a decent amount of money. But no matter what you do, look the part, wear your clothes, show off what you have, try to be as clean as possible, clean up your area, talk to everybody, don't dismiss anyone, talk to the people putting the event on before, after, thank them, everything. Be as professional as possible. Don't leave early unless it's an absolute emergency. Don't talk shit. Don't be mad when there's not a lot of people that show up. Be professional. Tip number 4. Have your money figured out. Bring a cash box and have plenty of cash, change, whatever. Try to price your things where it's easy to give change back. Definitely have a decent amount of 20s on you. I can't tell you how many times those first couple of purchases were with a $100 bill for a $25 t-shirt. And you got to quickly give change back. So bring a little bit of cash with you and be prepared for anything on that. And figure out your credit card purchases, or however you want to say that. Be able to take credit cards. The very first time I did it on my phone with, I think, with Squarespace, and I just punched everything in manually. That looks super ghetto. Don't do that. Sometimes with a card reader, if the tap doesn't work or the chip's not working or something, you do have to punch them in. But don't take everyone's card and punch in their information. It doesn't look good, and it slows down tremendously. I use Shopify, and I have the Shop app, or the Shopify POS app, and I have everything broken down just as items. So if I'm working it, a friend's working it, my wife's working it, we don't have to do math. They don't have to do quick math. I can just click t-shirt, hat, whatever. The prices are already there. Do the credit card, do all that stuff, and it's super simple. Try and have that figured out before you go, because when things get busy, it can definitely hurt you when you don't have that stuff figured out. Tip number 5. This one may sound a little crazy and it's kind of a short tip, but bring what you need to bring so you don't have to leave the booth. Bring chairs. A lot of places are going to tell you not to bring coolers. Bring a cooler. They don't want you to bring a lot of drinks because a lot of times, a lot of these pop-ups, there's going to be concessions or food trucks or whatever. And while I 100% always buy from the food trucks for food, I'm not going to get down with, there's one event I did, and it was an amazing event, but it was in a arena, and had a concession, and a soda was $4. I think the bottled water was like $3 or $4. No thank you. I'm not going to keep doing that. What we usually do is we have a small little cooler. When we load in, we put the cooler under the table, and we just have normal drinks. Stay hydrated. Bring some crackers. Bring whatever. Most places are going to be completely fine with that. Don't advertise it. Don't let the customers like really kind of see you just pulling stuff out and doing whatever you want to do, just because they're going to have to pay the higher price stuff. And definitely go support your bartenders and support your food trucks. But when you're at an event for 3 days and a bottle of water is $4, that is really difficult. So try and bring whatever you need to bring. Batteries, it kind of goes back to the being prepared thing. But lights, all that kind of stuff. Just slip that in there, and it is what it is. This is going to be kind of going off of the professionalism thing, and you might be able to kind of put that together, but I think it's a little different, and I think it needs its own category. You are doing the exact same thing that the vendor next to you is doing. Don't be an asshole to them. Treat your neighboring vendors, almost like family. Y'all are doing the same thing. It's like y'all are, clowns in the circus. You're all there for the same reason. Help them out. There's going to be a lot of times where somebody forgets something, somebody forgets this, they need help with that. Putting these tents up can be very difficult by yourself, and sometimes people have to show up by themselves. The last event I did, I had to show up by myself, and my wife came later. I was able to get everything, but I also know that the people I ended up getting set up next to, I've done events with them multiple times. We caught up, we talked, we whatever. I knew at any moment if I needed some help, they would help me. I would help them. If I needed to run to the bathroom while my wife wasn't there, they'd be more than happy to watch the booth, do whatever. It's common courtesy. And you never know what you're going to get out of that. Talk to people, talk to them, see what they're struggling with, seeing what they're doing, what events they're doing, what's going on, and you're going to learn way more. Check out their booths, check what their prices are, check how their display is. Use your neighbors as an advantage. Try to hook up and just grow. It's all about growth. It's not competition, it's collaboration. If you want to be the asshole who just has to be on top and squash everybody, go for it. I guarantee you're not going to work out that long. Tip number 7. Don't close early and don't close on time. There's been many a times where you got some events, you kind of go into the night, or if something closes at 3, something closes at 4, people immediately pack up, or people are already packing up before and they're just leaving. Don't do that. You probably are missing out on a decent amount of money, right? There's been many a times where things were, shutting down, or it was about over, and I've made an extra $100, $200, even $300 one time just by staying open. Because people kind of walk back through and they're like, oh, you're the only one open. It's getting colder. You got hoodies, jackets, flannels, whatever, and people are like, oh, I need this on the way home. I need that. And, you really benefit from doing that. So while it may suck to do it, stay open as late as you possibly can, within reason. I mean, if there's nobody around, by all means, pack up. But, just do what you got to do to make that money. That's what it's all about. Tip number 8. So this tip is a little strange because I don't see why people don't do this. But you need to be promoting the event you're going to heavily. And that's for 2 reasons. You need to promote the event and tag whoever's putting the event on constantly, because they're going to probably repost whatever you're posting, and you're going to get seen more by the mass amount of people that are going to be going to that event. And so maybe they'll check you out, they'll see your stuff, and they'll be like, okay, we have to find these people, and I can go to their booth while we're here. I don't understand why more people don't do that. And then secondly, if you have people in that area who might be going to the event that you're not normally close to, you need to be posting about it. Because if they follow you and like, oh, this booth these people are coming to my area, let me go check them out. TikTok is perfect for this. A lot of times before events happen, I'll post a couple times on TikTok and I'll tag the area, the town, the city, the venue, whatever. that's near it, and it throws it out to all those people in that area. Why would you not want to do that? People will see it. People will be like, okay, that looks really cool. Let's do that. Let's go. Let's see these people. I want to check it out. I can't tell you how many times I'll post about it, and then when you get there, post it that you're there. If it's 3 days, day 1, post about it. Day 2, post about it. Somebody might see it and pop up, be like, oh, I want to go see that. And there's many a times where people are like, oh, I'm coming there this day. I'm coming there this day. Shoot them a message. Say, come see us. All this stuff. It's networking. Post where you're going to be. Tag the people putting it on. And just get out there. I think that pretty much wraps up everything that I wanted to kind of talk about. It's sometimes kind of tough because you start talking and you forget some things and you don't really know where you're trying to go and you go off on a tangent. But I think those are some pretty solid tips that will help you being a vendor. And it's pretty broad. I didn't niche down to my particular niche. I wanted to try to help anybody who's a vendor. It doesn't matter if you make candles. It doesn't matter if you do clothes like me, if you do jewelry, if you do custom stuff, you do art, whatever. All of these tips are going to help you, and that's the point. These are some things that I've learned along the way, and I figured I'd pass it on to you. That being said, please comment down below if any of these tips are helpful and anything I may have missed. Comment down below what has helped you if you're a vendor and you've done things. I would love to hear it. Maybe it'll help me. Maybe it'll help somebody else watching this video, so that'd be great. But yeah, I appreciate you watching us, following us, and all that kind of stuff. We have an event in like 3 days, so we're getting packed up to go do that. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. We do videos all the time. We try to do at least 1 a week, but we try to do 2. And if you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. But as always, keep it wretched.